The deep space research vessel Aurora drifted silently through the void near Jupiter's massive form. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, watching the swirling storms on the gas giant's surface through the main view screen. After 3 months of routine scientific missions, he was ready to head back to Earth. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange readings," called out Lisa Price from the navigation station. Her fingers danced across the control panel as she tried to make sense of the data flooding her screens. Jake turned his attention to her. "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures I've never seen before." "They're huge, sir. Much bigger than anything we've ever recorded." Lisa's voice carried a note of worry that made the other crew members look up from their work. Danny Walsh, the chief engineer, moved over to look at Lisa's display. His weathered face creased into a frown as he studied the numbers. "This doesn't look like solar activity. The patterns are too regular, too controlled." Jake stood up and walked over to their stations. The Aurora was a small ship with a crew of only 12 people. Everyone knew each other well, and Jake trusted his team completely. If Lisa and Danny were concerned, he needed to pay attention. "Could it be another human ship?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. No human vessel could generate energy readings this large. "No, sir," Lisa replied, shaking her head. "This is something else entirely. The power output is off the charts. It's like looking at a small sun." Suddenly, the space in front of them began to shimmer. The stars seemed to bend and twist as reality itself appeared to fold. Jake grabbed the nearest console as the Aurora shook slightly from gravitational disturbances. "All hands, brace for contact," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. His voice remained calm despite the fear growing in his chest. The shimmering intensified, and then something impossible appeared before them. A massive ship materialized out of nothing, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb light. The vessel was enormous, easily 3 times the size of Earth's largest space stations. Strange symbols glowed along its surface, pulsing with an alien rhythm. "My God," whispered Dr. Amy Rodriguez from the science station. She had spent her entire career studying the possibility of alien life, but seeing it with her own eyes left her speechless. The alien ship hung motionless in space for several long minutes. Jake and his crew stared at it, unsure whether to run, hide, or try to communicate. The decision was made for them when a beam of light shot out from the alien vessel and surrounded the Aurora. "Captain, we're being scanned," Danny reported, his voice tight with tension. "Their technology is incredible. I can feel them looking right through our hull, examining every system we have." Jake moved back to his command chair and activated the ship's communication array. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Aurora. We come in peace. Please identify yourselves." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the main view screen flickered and changed. Instead of showing the alien ship, it now displayed a figure that was clearly not human. The being had smooth gray-green skin and large dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient intelligence. When it spoke, the words came through the Aurora's translation, systems in perfect English. "I am Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet," the alien said. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "Your species has been evaluated and found to be primitive. You will submit to Zephyrian rule immediately." Jake felt his heart racing, but he forced himself to remain calm. "We represent the people of Earth. We're willing to discuss peaceful relations between our species." Commander Vextar's expression didn't change. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. Your planet and all its inhabitants now belong to the Zephyrian Empire. Resistance is futile and will result in your complete destruction." "How many of you are there?" Jake asked, trying to buy time while his mind raced through their limited options. "Our advance fleet consists of 47 battlecruisers and 300 support vessels," Vextar replied without emotion. "More will arrive if needed. Your entire military could not damage a single one of our ships." Lisa turned to look at Jake, her face pale. She had been running calculations on her computer, and the numbers were terrifying. The energy output from just the ship in front of them was greater than anything humanity had ever built. "We need time to contact our leaders," Jake said. "Surely you can understand that a decision this important cannot be made by one ship's captain." Vextar considered this for a moment. Very well. Your species has 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. If you do not comply, we will begin the systematic destruction of your major population centers. This conversation is over. The view screen went black, leaving the Aurora's crew in stunned silence. Jake looked around at his people and saw the same mixture of fear and determination in their eyes that he felt in his own heart. Danny, get me a secure channel to Earth immediately, Jake ordered. Lisa, plot a course back to Earth at maximum speed. Dr. Rodriguez, I need you to analyze everything we just saw and heard. As the Aurora turned toward home, Jake stared out at the alien fleet that was now visible in the distance. Hundreds of ships hung in space like predators waiting to strike. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, and Jake knew that the next 72 hours would determine whether his species survived or perished. The aliens had made one critical mistake, though. They had assumed that humans would react. Like every other species they had conquered, they were about to learn that some species don't know how to surrender. President Helen Carter stood at the head of the emergency conference table in the secure bunker beneath Washington. World leaders appeared on screens around the room, their faces showing the same mixture of fear and determination that had spread across Earth in the past 24 hours. The situation is clear, President Carter began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. We have 48 hours remaining before the alien ultimatum expires. General Collins will brief us on our military capabilities. General, Pete Collins stood up, his uniform crisp despite having worked through the night. Madam President, I won't sugarcoat this. Based on Captain Morrison's report and our analysis of the alien technology, we are completely outmatched. Their ships have energy shields that can stop our most powerful weapons. Their plasma cannons could destroy our largest cities in minutes. The German Chancellor leaned forward on his screen. Then we have no choice but to surrender. We cannot sacrifice billions of lives in a hopeless fight. With respect, sir, I disagree, interrupted Dr. Amy Rodriguez, who had been brought in as the leading expert on the alien encounter. I've been studying the data from the Aurora, and I believe these aliens have a weakness we can exploit. President Carter nodded to Dr. Rodriguez. Please continue, Doctor. The Zephyrians are clearly an advanced civilization, but they're also predictable. They've conquered dozens of worlds using the same tactics. They expect immediate surrender when faced with superior firepower. They've never encountered a species that refuses to give up. Prime Minister Johnson of Britain spoke up from his screen. Doctor, what exactly are you suggesting? That we fight a war we cannot win? Dr. Rodriguez pulled up a holographic display showing the alien ship designs. Their technology is impressive, but it's also standardized. Every ship follows the same, basic pattern. They rely heavily on centralized computer systems and energy distribution networks. If we can find a way to disrupt those systems, we might have a chance, finished General Collins, his eyes lighting up with understanding. It would be like fighting a modern army with guerrilla tactics. The Russian president's voice came through the speakers with grim determination. My country has experience with fighting impossible odds. We will not bow to these aliens without a fight. One by one, the other world leaders voiced their agreement. The Japanese Prime Minister promised their advanced robotics technology. The Israeli Prime Minister offered their expertise in asymmetric warfare. Even the smallest nations pledged whatever resources they could spare. Meanwhile, aboard the Aurora, as it raced back toward Earth, Captain Morrison gathered his crew in the ship's small conference room. The stress of the past day showed on everyone's faces, but their resolve remained unbroken. I know what you're all thinking, Jake began. We're just a research vessel with a crew of 12. What can we possibly do against an alien empire? We can fight, said Marine Sergeant Kevin Stone, the ship's security chief. I didn't sign up to run away from bullies no matter how big they are. Lisa Price nodded in agreement. The Aurora may be small, but we know these aliens better than anyone else on Earth. We've seen their ships up close. We've talked to their commander. Danny Walsh had been working on something at his portable computer. Captain, I've been analyzing the scans we took of their vessel. Their hull material is incredibly strong, but it has to have weak points. Every ship needs access ports, sensor arrays, weapon emplacements. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her own work. "I've been thinking about their communication system. They were able to translate our language perfectly and speak to us in real time. That means their computers are incredibly advanced, but also incredibly complex. Complex systems have more points of failure," Jake realized. "If we could get close, enough to one of their ships, we could plant a virus in their systems," Danny finished. "Something designed to spread through their network and cause chaos. The plan was dangerous and probably suicidal, but it was better than doing nothing." Jake made the decision that would change everything. "We're not going back to Earth to hide. We're going to volunteer for the first strike mission." Back on Earth, the preparations continued at a frantic pace. Military bases around the world worked together for the first time in human history. Scientists shared research freely across all national boundaries. Factory workers labored around the clock to produce weapons and equipment. Colonel Rick Hayes assembled a team of volunteers for the most dangerous mission imaginable, boarding an alien vessel. These men and women came from every branch of the military and every nation on Earth. They knew the odds of survival were nearly zero, but they stepped forward anyway. "We're not trying to win a conventional war," Colonel Hayes told his team. "We're trying to hurt them badly enough that they think twice about attacking us. Every alien ship we damage, every system we disrupt, sends a message that humanity won't go quietly." Dr. Rodriguez worked with international teams to develop new weapons based on human ingenuity rather than advanced technology. They created electromagnetic pulse bombs using car batteries and copper wire. They designed virus programs using code that was primitive by alien standards but completely unexpected. The most surprising development came from an unlikely source. Tony Clark, a mechanic from Detroit, had an idea while watching news footage of the alien ships. "What if we rammed them?" he suggested to his local National Guard unit. "Those fancy shields might stop energy weapons, but what about a chunk of metal moving at high speed?" The idea spread quickly through military channels. If human technology couldn't match alien sophistication, perhaps human determination could overcome alien expectations. Pilots like Lieutenant Ben Parker and Captain Nina Brooks volunteered for missions that everyone knew were one-way trips. As the deadline approached, something remarkable happened. Humanity didn't panic. Instead, people around the world began to unite in ways that had never been seen before. Religious leaders of all faiths prayed together. Scientists shared decades of research overnight. Soldiers trained alongside former enemies. The aliens had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. Instead, humanity used those hours to become something the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered before. A species that refused to accept defeat, no matter the cost. Commander Vextar watched the preparations on Earth through his long-range sensors. What he saw confused him. Instead of leaders gathering to discuss surrender terms, he observed massive military mobilization. Instead of panic in the streets, he saw ordinary humans volunteering for military service. "These creatures are irrational," he reported to his superiors. "They appear to be preparing for war despite being completely outmatched. Perhaps their primitive brains cannot process the reality of their situation." The response from Zephyrian command was predictable: proceed with the conquest as planned. After all, every species eventually learned the futility of resistance. Humans would be no different. They were about to discover just how wrong they could be. The 72-hour deadline had passed. Commander Vexitar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth grow larger on the main display. The small blue planet looked peaceful from space, but his sensors showed massive energy readings. From the surface, the humans were still preparing for war. "Begin the assault," Vextar ordered. "Target their major cities first. Once they see the destruction, they will surrender quickly." The Zephyrian fleet moved into attack formation. 47 massive warships positioned themselves around Earth, while smaller vessels prepared to land ground troops. Everything was proceeding according to standard conquest protocol. Then something unexpected happened. Captain Morrison and the Aurora appeared directly in front of the alien flagship, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is humanity's answer to your ultimatum." Jake's voice rang out clearly. "We choose to fight." Before Vextar could respond, The Aurora launched every missile it carried at his ship. The weapons were primitive by Zephyrian standards, but they struck with surprising accuracy. The flagship's shields absorbed the impact easily, but the attack sent a clear message throughout both fleets. Impressive courage for such a small vessel, Vextar admitted to his bridge crew. Destroy it, and proceed with the bombardment. But as the Zephyrian weapons charged up to fire, something else happened that made Vextar pause. Hundreds of human ships appeared from behind Earth's moon. They were not military vessels built for war. Instead, Vextar saw cargo ships, passenger, liners, mining vessels, and research craft. Every human ship that could fly had joined the fight. "Sir, the humans are not following standard military tactics," reported his tactical officer. "Their formations make no sense. They should be trying to maximize their defensive capabilities." Vextar studied the human fleet arrangement with growing confusion. The ships were spread out randomly with no clear command structure. Some vessels were charging directly at his fleet while others hung back. It looked like chaos rather than military strategy. Perhaps their primitive minds cannot comprehend proper battle formations, Vextar decided. Begin the attack. The first Zephyrian plasma beams struck the leading human ships. Several vessels exploded immediately, their crude armor no match for alien energy weapons. But instead of retreating, the surviving human ships continued their advance. Then the real surprise began. Lieutenant Ben Parker, piloting a converted cargo hauler loaded with explosives, aimed his ship directly at a Zephyrian cruiser. His radio crackled with final words, "For Earth and humanity." The impact when his ship struck the alien vessel's shield generator created a massive explosion that disabled the cruiser's defenses. Captain Nina Brooks followed immediately after, her passenger liner crammed with homemade electromagnetic pulse bombs. She managed to get close enough to the damaged cruiser to detonate her cargo before the aliens could destroy her ship. The EMP blast knocked out the cruiser's main computer systems. "What are they doing?" Vextar demanded as he watched. "More human ships make similar suicide runs. This is not rational behavior." His science officer checked the readings from the damaged cruiser. "Commander, the humans are using their own vessels as weapons. They are deliberately sacrificing themselves to damage our ships." This was something completely outside Zephyrian experience. Every other species they had conquered fought to preserve their military assets. No civilization had ever used suicide tactics as a primary strategy. But the humans were just getting started. Dr. Rodriguez, working frantically in a laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, had finally cracked the secret of Zephyrian technology. "I've got it," she announced to her team of international scientists. "Their power systems all connect to a central network. If we can get a virus into one ship, it will spread to their entire fleet." Tony Clark, the mechanic from Detroit, had been assigned to Dr. Rodriguez's team because of his practical engineering skills. "Doc, I've been thinking about their shield generators. They have to let certain frequencies through or their own weapons couldn't fire." "You're right," Dr. Rodriguez realized. "We can use that against them." Within hours, they had developed a new type of weapon. It used simple radio transmissions to carry computer viruses directly through Zephyrian shields. The first test came when Sergeant Kevin Stone and his Marine unit managed to get close to a damaged alien scout ship. "Uploading the virus now," Stone reported over his radio as alien security forces closed in on his position. "If this works, their whole ship should go dark in about 30 seconds. The virus worked better than anyone had hoped. Not only did it shut down the scout ship's systems, but it began spreading to other vessels in the Zephyrian fleet through their communication networks. Commander Vextar watched in growing alarm as ship after ship in his fleet reported system failures. The humans had somehow found a way to attack his vessels without even firing traditional weapons. "Sir, we're receiving reports of similar attacks throughout the system," his communications officer announced. "The humans have small teams boarding damaged vessels and planting some kind of electronic warfare device. But the most disturbing development was yet to come. Vextar noticed that the human attacks were becoming more sophisticated with each engagement. Early in the battle, human Pilots had simply rammed his ships with explosive-laden vessels. Now they were using coordinated tactics that exploited specific weaknesses in Zephyrian design. Colonel Rick Hayes led the most audacious boarding mission of the day. His team used captured alien technology to break through the hull of a Zephyrian battle cruiser. Once inside, they moved through the ship using tactics that confused the alien defenders. "These corridors aren't designed for close combat," Hayes observed as his team advanced. The aliens built their ships assuming they would never have enemies inside them. The boarding party planted explosive charges throughout the cruiser's key systems before fighting their way back to their escape pods. When the charges detonated, they took out not just the cruiser but also damaged 2 nearby vessels with debris. What truly shocked Commander Vextar was how quickly the humans learned from each engagement. Pilots who survived their first attack runs returned with new tactics. Engineers who examined captured alien technology immediately began incorporating it into human weapons. Within 6 hours of the battle's start, Vexitar received a report that chilled him to his core. A human fighter squadron led by pilot Rachel Stone was using hybrid human-alien technology. They had somehow combined captured Zephyrian weapons with human spacecraft, creating vessels that were faster and more maneuverable than pure alien designs. "This is impossible," Vextar said to himself as he watched the hybrid fighters outfly his own pilots. "No species has ever adapted our technology this quickly." The worst part was that the human attacks showed no sign of stopping. Even as Zephyrian forces destroyed human ships by the dozens, more kept appearing. Every human who could hold a weapon seemed willing to die fighting rather than surrender. For the first time in his military career, Commander Vexitar began to consider the possibility that his conquest might fail. The humans were not behaving like any enemy he had ever faced. They fought with a desperation and creativity that defied all military logic. As the first day of battle ended, Vextar looked at his casualty reports with growing dread. He had lost 12 ships and suffered damage to 30 more. The humans should have been eliminated hours ago, but instead they were still fighting with undiminished fury. "Send a message to command," Vexitar ordered reluctantly. "Request immediate reinforcements. These humans are not like other species we have conquered." He did not yet realize that this message would be the beginning of the end for the Zephyrian Empire's expansion. The humans had shown them something that would haunt their military doctrine forever. Some species simply refuse to be conquered no matter the cost. Admiral Zethkul arrived at the battle with 300 fresh warships, expecting to find Earth already conquered. Instead, he found Commander Vextar's fleet in complete disarray. Damaged Zephyrian vessels drifted through space while human fighters swarmed around them like angry insects. "Report," Admiral Zethkul demanded as his flagship took position near Vextar's command vessel. "The humans refuse to surrender," Vextar replied, his voice strained from 3 days of continuous fighting. "They fight with tactics we have never encountered. Our casualties are mounting daily." Admiral Zethkul studied the tactical displays with growing disbelief. In 70 years of military service, he had never seen a conquest take more than a few hours. "How many ships have we lost?" 43 destroyed. Over 100 damaged beyond combat effectiveness," Vexistar admitted. "The humans keep adapting their strategies. Every time we counter one of their tactics, they develop something new." As if to prove his point, a group of human vessels approached the Zephyrian formation using a completely new strategy. These ships moved in tight formation, their hulls bristling with weapons that looked nothing like standard human technology. Captain Morrison led this latest attack wave from his modified Aurora. The research vessel now carried a hybrid mix of human and captured alien weapons. "All ships remember the plan," Jake broadcast to his squadron. "Hit their shield generators first, then target the weapon systems." Dr. Rodriguez had spent the past week reverse engineering every piece of Zephyrian technology they could capture. Working with engineers like Carl Thompson and Danny Walsh, she had created weapons that combined human ingenuity with alien power sources. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons," Dr. Rodriguez had explained during the briefing. "But if we modulate our attack frequency to match their own weapon signatures, we can punch right through their defenses." The human attack began with precision that shocked both Zephyrian admirals. Instead of the chaotic suicide runs they had grown accustomed to, the humans now fought with coordinated tactics that exploited specific weaknesses in alien ship design. Pilot Maria Santos dove her fighter through a gap in the Zephyrian formation, her weapons firing in carefully timed bursts. Each shot was aimed at critical system nodes that the humans had identified through careful study of captured vessels. Direct hit on their primary shield generator, Maria reported as explosions bloomed across the alien cruiser's hull. They're losing power to forward weapons. Lieutenant Rachel Stone followed up immediately, her squadron targeting the same vessel with electromagnetic pulse warheads. The combination of precise energy weapon strikes and EMP blasts knocked the cruiser completely out of the fight. Admiral Zethkul watched the engagement with growing horror. These tactics require detailed knowledge of our ship systems. How do they know where to strike? The answer came from an unexpected source. Colonel Rick Hayes and his boarding teams had been capturing Zephyrian vessels for days, learning everything they could about alien technology. Each successful mission provided more intelligence that was immediately shared with human forces throughout the solar system. "We've got another one," Hayes reported as his Marines secured the bridge of a damaged Zephyrian destroyer. "Tony, start downloading their computer systems. Sam, get those weapon schematics copied." Tony Clark worked frantically at an alien computer terminal while explosions echoed through the ship's corridors. "Got it, Colonel. Their entire tactical database is copying now." Sam Cooper finished downloading the weapon specifications just as Zephyrian security forces reached their position. "Time to go, sir. This intel will help us build better defenses." The boarding team fought their way back to their escape pods, but not before planting explosive charges throughout the destroyer. When the ship exploded, it took 2 nearby vessels with it, victims of their own interconnected systems. But the most devastating blow came from an unexpected direction. Dr. Emma Foster, working in a laboratory on Mars, had been analyzing the computer virus that Kevin Stone's team had first deployed. She discovered something remarkable about Zephyrian technology. Their entire fleet operates on a networked system, Dr. Foster explained to the Earth Defense Council via secure transmission. Every ship shares information constantly. If we can create a virus that spreads through their communication network, we could disable their entire fleet at once. Working with programmers like Diana Wells and Lucas Gray, Dr. Foster developed a virus unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever encountered. It was designed to look like normal communication traffic, while slowly corrupting ship systems from within. The virus was deployed during what appeared to be a standard human attack. Sergeant Kevin Stone, now leading a specialized cyber warfare unit, managed to upload the program into a Zephyrian communication relay. "Package delivered," Stone reported as his team retreated under heavy fire. "If this works, we should see results within the hour." The virus spread through the Zephyrian fleet faster than anyone had hoped. Ship after ship began reporting system malfunctions as the program quietly rewrote critical software. Navigation systems failed, weapon targeting became erratic, and communication between vessels became impossible. Admiral Zethkul found himself commanding a fleet that could barely function. "All ships switch to backup communication systems," he ordered. But the virus had already spread too far. The final phase of the human counterattack began when Captain Nina Brooks led a massive assault on the Zephyrian flagship. Her ship, rebuilt from the wreckage of 3 different vessels, carried the most powerful hybrid weapons the humans had yet created. "This is for everyone we've lost," Nina announced as her makeshift battleship charged toward the alien command vessel. Behind her flew dozens of other human ships, each one crewed by volunteers who knew they might not survive the battle. The attack that followed was unlike anything in Zephyrian military history. Human ships fought with a combination of sophisticated tactics and desperate courage that overwhelmed the alien defenses. Pilots like Ben Parker and Kevin Stone led attack runs that should have been impossible, their ships dancing through alien fire with movements no computer could predict. What disturbed Admiral Zethkul most was the realization that humans seemed to get stronger as the battle continued. Soldiers who should have been exhausted after days of fighting instead fought with renewed energy. Pilots who had lost friends and colleagues channeled their grief into even more determined attacks. "Sir, we're receiving casualty reports from across the fleet," his aide reported. "We've lost over 200 ships. Many more are too damaged to continue fighting." Admiral Zeth Kool stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His reinforcement fleet, combined with Vextar's original forces, had numbered over 300 vessels. Now fewer than 50 ships remained combat-ready. "How many humans have we killed?" he asked. "Intelligence estimates suggest several million casualties, sir, but their military effectiveness has not diminished. If anything, they seem to be fighting harder than before." This was the moment Admiral Zeth Kool understood the terrible truth about humanity. They were not just fighting for territory or resources. They were fighting for their very existence, and that gave them a strength that no military technology could match. As reports continued to arrive of human victories throughout the solar system, Admiral Zeth Kool made a decision that would echo throughout the Zephyrian Empire. For the first time in their history, they would retreat from a battle they could not win. The humans had done something impossible. They had taken a vastly superior alien force and turned it into a broken remnant. Through sheer determination and refusal to accept defeat, Admiral Zeth Kool prepared to send a message that would change everything. Admiral Zeth Kool stood on his bridge watching the final battle unfold around Earth. His once mighty fleet was in ruins. Human ships swarmed through space like a pack of wolves, attacking every alien vessel they could find. The Admiral had never seen anything like it in 70 years of conquest. "Sir, the humans are preparing for a massive assault," his tactical officer reported. "They're gathering every ship they have for one final attack." Through the view screen, Zeth Kool could see hundreds of human vessels forming up for battle. These were not the crude ships that had first challenged his fleet. The humans had learned to combine their technology with captured alien weapons, creating hybrid vessels that were more dangerous than either design alone. Captain Morrison led the human fleet from his heavily modified Aurora. The small research ship now bristled with weapons that shouldn't have been possible to build. "All ships, this is our chance to end this war," Jake broadcast to the massive human armada. "Every alien ship we destroy sends a message to their empire. Earth will not be conquered." Behind Morrison flew pilots like Maria Santos and Rachel Stone, their fighters rebuilt with alien technology. Bomber squadrons led by Ben Parker carried weapons that could crack the hulls of the largest Zephyrian warships. Marine units under Kevin Stone prepared for one final boarding assault on the alien flagship. Dr. Rodriguez watched the battle preparations from her command center deep underground. "All systems are ready," she announced to the Global Defense Network. "The final virus package is loaded and ready to deploy." She had spent weeks perfecting the ultimate cyber weapon. This virus would not just disable alien ships, it would rewrite their computer systems completely, turning the vessels into useless scrap metal floating in space. Tony Clark worked alongside her, monitoring the technical aspects of their plan. "Doc, their mothership is the key. If we can get the virus into their command vessel, it will spread to every ship in their empire through their long-range communication system." The battle began with a coordinated assault unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships attacked from every direction, using tactics that the Zephyrians could not predict or counter. Some vessels rammed alien ships at high speed. Others used precision strikes to disable key systems. Still others deployed the new virus weapons that Dr. Rodriguez had created. Colonel Rick Hayes led the most dangerous mission of all. His boarding team was tasked with reaching the alien flagship and uploading the final virus directly into their main computer core. "Remember, we only get one shot at this," Hayes told his Marines as their assault ship approached the massive Zephyrian vessel. "If we fail, this war continues. If we succeed, we might save not just Earth but every other world these aliens plan to conquer." The assault ship punched through the flagship's weakened shields and crashed directly into the alien hull. Hayes and his team fought their way through corridors filled with desperate Zephyrian defenders. Each step forward cost them dearly, but they refused to stop. Meanwhile, the space battle raged around them. Human pilots threw themselves at alien warships with a fury that shocked even Admiral Zeth Kool. These humans fought like they had nothing left to lose, and in many ways they didn't. Pilot Nina Brooks, flying a ship built from the wreckage of 3 different vessels, managed to destroy 2 alien cruisers before her own craft was finally shot down. Her last transmission was simple. For humanity, Captain Santos led a squadron of fighters in a suicide run against the alien flagship's main weapon. The massive plasma cannon had been preparing to bombard Earth's cities. Santos and her pilots flew directly into the weapon's barrel, detonating their ships inside the gun itself. The explosion destroyed the cannon and severely damaged the flagship. Deep inside the alien vessel, Colonel Hayes and his surviving Marines finally reached the main computer core. The chamber was massive, filled with alien technology that pulsed with strange energy. Tony Clark, who had volunteered for the mission despite being a civilian, worked frantically to connect their virus upload device to the alien systems. "Almost got it," Tony said as Zephyrian security forces closed in on their position. "Just need 30 more seconds." Hayes and his Marines formed a defensive line, holding off the aliens with everything they had. One by one, the Marines fell, but they bought Tony the time he needed. "Upload complete," Tony announced just as an alien plasma bolt struck him down. The virus began spreading through the flagship's computer network immediately. Admiral Zethkul watched in horror as his ship's systems began failing one by one. Navigation went down first, then weapons, then life support. Around him, his bridge, crew struggled desperately to regain control, but it was too late. The virus spread from ship to ship through the Zephyrian communication network, just as Dr. Rodriguez had planned. Within minutes, the entire alien fleet was dead in space, their sophisticated technology turned against them by human ingenuity. But the virus didn't stop there. It continued to spread through the Zephyrian Empire's long-range communication system, reaching alien outposts and colonies throughout the galaxy. Every ship, every base, every piece of Zephyrian technology connected to their network was infected and disabled. On Earth, Dr. Rodriguez watched the data streams with amazement. "It's working beyond our best projections," she told President Carter. "The virus has reached their home systems. Their entire empire is experiencing massive technological failures." Admiral Zethkul found himself commanding a fleet that could no longer fight, navigate, or even communicate effectively. His sophisticated warships had been reduced to lifeless hulks by an enemy that had been using primitive technology just weeks before. The humans had done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had not just defeated a superior enemy, they had turned the enemy's greatest strength against them. The Zephyrian Empire's advanced technology had become their greatest weakness. As emergency power flickered on his bridge, Admiral Zethkul made the most important decision of his career. He activated the one communication system that was not connected to the main network, an emergency beacon used only for the most dire circumstances. The message he sent was brief, but would echo throughout the galaxy. All Zephyrian forces, new standing order regarding human-controlled space. Immediate retreat required. Do not engage human vessels under any circumstances. Classification change. Humans upgraded from primitive species to extreme threat. Recommended action when encountering humans. Run. The message reached every corner of the Zephyrian Empire. Military commanders who had never known defeat suddenly found themselves ordered to flee from a species they had never heard of. The humans had earned something no other civilization in galactic history had achieved: the fear and respect of an entire empire. Captain Morrison, floating in the wreckage of his beloved Aurora, received the alien surrender transmission with mixed emotions. They had won, but the cost had been enormous. Millions of humans had died in the fighting. Earth's cities bore the scars of alien bombardment, but humanity had survived, and they had sent a clear message to the galaxy. As rescue ships picked up the survivors, Morrison looked out at the drifting alien hulks that filled Earth's orbit. The Zephyrian Empire would rebuild eventually, but they would never again see humans as primitive creatures to be conquered easily. The word would spread throughout the galaxy. When dealing with humans, there was only one wise choice: run.